to you. My name is Fred Oakman, and with me today, as always, is Mr. Jake Peters. You're listening to PS This Is Awesome, a PlayStation podcast, and this is episode 348. You heard that right, folks, 348. As we near episode 350, we are a show where we share our feelings about the current state of PlayStation. Before we get on with the show, I want to invite you to all subscribe to our channel on YouTube. We just lost a subscription on YouTube. What the hell? Make that up for us, people. Somebody go subscribe. YouTube.com/PS This Is Awesome if you want to do that. If you want to make fun of our trophy list on the PlayStation Network, you can find me at anchorless_81 and Mr. Jake Peters at JakeSaw01. You can write our show, psthisisawesome@gmail.com, and most importantly, don't forget to share our show with your friends. Make sure to leave comments, rate the podcast as you see fit. Tell everybody why you even listen to our show. What is it that we offer that other people do not offer you on a weekly basis? Is it intelligent discussion? Is it home improvement talk conversation possibly mixed with a game podcast? There's a niche audience for that perhaps.
Yeah.
But as a reminder, we're a video podcast as well. You can watch us over on youtube.com or whatever I said it was earlier. Make sure you're subscribed. And if you're new or a long-time listener, we have a Patreon. You can support the show at a $1 level. The Patreon tier is called the One and Only $1 Club. Head over to www.patreon.com/PS This Is Awesome to become a $1 patron of the show and get a free die-cut vinyl sticker in the mail and a shout-out as well. With that out of the way, Jake, how are you on this beautiful Monday in Pennsylvania?
I'm okay. I'm all right. I am really sore today. I was at the... Well, let's see. I was at the track on Saturday, and I was trying to learn some body position stuff, so was really sore from that. And then I played a hockey game last night, so it just kind of piled on. So basically everything from like my nipples down is sore, but feeling pretty good otherwise. I gotta say, I don't know how you feel about this, but I've come to realize that I really don't like trends in music because it annoys me whenever, and every musician has their right to do their thing, obviously make what you want to make, write the songs you want to write, but I wonder how much of this is label driven, where you take a band that used to be a band that you really like and you listen to their new album and like their new single sounds like literally every other fucking song on the radio. And it's like so just to give you an example, what brought this up was I just saw that you're familiar with the band Amberlin.
Yes.
So they were like a pop rock, punk rock kind of band from the early 2000s into maybe like the early 2010s. They were really famous, or they weren't really famous, but they were in that like B tier. They were like B tier famous in like the alternative scene. And they had I can't remember what the album name was that they had back then. I think it had like a statue's head.
You're talking
or something
like 06 or something.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of the album, but I remember like pretty like enjoying it. It wasn't like this like super amazing thing, but I thought it was really good, and it was kind of fit like with the music at the time or whatever. Well, I just listened to I just saw they had a new release.
Was it called Cities? Never take friendship personal.
You're talking about the album?
Yeah.
Never take friendship personal.
Okay.
From 2005. So that was from the year I graduated high school. So that's probably why I remember it.
And these guys.
Yeah. Anyhow. So, they sorry, I got my brain got short circuited there for a second. They just released a new single like 3 days ago. And I saw it on like their record label's YouTube, which is Equal Vision. And I was like, oh, well, I'll just check it out and see what it sounds like. And dude, it sounds like something off of fucking, I don't know, Octane on Sirius or some shit like that. Where it's like some random, hard rock song that has like almost like pseudo hip hop kind of vocals. They're not. It kind of like, think of like Machine Gun Kelly, where he's not like rapping, but it's like it's got that edge to the way that he sings.
It's a little snotty.
And then, like,
it's like a little more like, I'm fucking awesome.
Yeah. And then it has like, some of it has like auto tune and shit on it.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and I'm like, and as soon as it like breaks into the chorus, it's like, it immediately just blends into the background of every other fucking song that's been written in the last 3 years. And it's like, man, I wonder, and this is from, I guess maybe, I don't write a lot of songs, but I, help arrange some stuff when we write with the band or whatever. It's like, does this come from just a subconscious like influence of the industry in its current state, or is it that they really like the way that the music is going, or is it that the record label is pressuring them to make music like everything else that's on the fucking radio? I don't know, and it's frustrating to me as an enjoyer of music, and it's part of the reason why you fall off of these newer bands, because it's not, or they fall off of like bands you used to love, because it's not like everybody has that story about their favorite band. They released an album that was completely different and everybody hates it. It's not like that. It's like, because usually in that case it's just different, but it's still kind of unique, where in this it's just like, it's just the same as everything else that's on the radio now. So I don't really understand, and I'm not trying to trash Anne Berlin specifically. This is a trend in the music industry. This is what just kind of tipped this off in my brain. And by contrast, right before that, I listened to a song by that Keonashi band that you guys are playing with.
They're insane.
And they are fucking wild.
Yeah.
So it was like a complete just 180. But yeah, I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah.
Like, as someone who is a little bit more in tune with that stuff than me?
Yeah, for sure.
Just like
I've got a lot of thoughts about it, and I don't know that any of them are accurate, but I know as a songwriter myself, the longer I'm around, the more I'm exposed to. And I think consequently, the shit that I write just sounds different than the shit I write when I'm younger. You also start believing, it's the same reason like when I went to Edinburgh University as a music major. I auditioned, I got in, and then I started the music major program. And one semester in, I was like, I'm fucking out. I don't want to do this. And it wasn't because it was too hard. It wasn't because of anything, but it was because they were showing me the magic trick that music is. Right? They're like, here's a circle of fifths. Here's why this sounds good. Here's why this works and this doesn't. Here's, and they're just like showing you all the code to music. And it was like, it no longer was magical and special to me. One semester in, I'm like, I can't fucking do this for 4 years because like it's going to ruin this thing that I love so much and why I like it. So I think as like a musician and as somebody who writes music, the longer you're around, if you're not classically trained or musically trained, you start hearing, you continually hear different arrangements and different things. And it would be ridiculous to think that the way you write presently hasn't been somehow affected or inspired by those things. So I think that's an element to it. And I think that's why a lot of my favorite bands, a lot of the bands that I listen to, I prefer their earlier material over their later material. And I think it has everything to do with sometimes these bands just didn't understand how to write a conventional fucking song, so the shit they were coming up with was just way more creative and cool. And now then they're like, oh, I can write a song, bridge, verse, chorus, bridge, coda, fucking chorus, over, right? Like, and then you just like learn what chords work with what chords. And then you fall into the trappings of like, well, these guys are big, and now I know how they got big. I can do what they do as well now. I've gotten good enough to understand. And then you start writing music like that. And then you start getting proud about yourself. You're like, wow, I can do what all these fucking big time people can do now. It feels good. I can write a fucking song now. My old shit sucked. But that's not really true. It's all perspective. A band like Anne Berlin, who never really made it, but that has had way more success in music than I have, it's probably all of the above, all of the things that you said. And I would venture to guess that there's minimal pressure from the label directly, and it's probably pressure they're putting on themselves to move records so that they can tour substantially and have people still want to like go to their shows. Because let's be honest, like we're talking 2005. I know how hard it is to keep playing the same style of music I played in 2005, 2006, because that's still what I'm doing with One Off by Land. We're bringing very, very small numbers of people to our shows. It's not because we suck. It's because like all these people who grew up listening to that now listen to fucking acoustic music, now listen to classic rock. They're not into punk anymore. If they are into punk, they're not all still here. They've all fucking spread out. So like to hit all these people that used to like that kind of music, you got to work twice as hard. So like it does kind of make sense to maybe slow things down a little bit and just do cheesy classic rock or rock and roll. But only if you like it. So I would only ever play music that I enjoyed playing. I would never, quote unquote, sell out to move records to do. I mean, I would still make sure I enjoyed it. Because the second you stop enjoying it, it's like, what the fuck are you even doing it for? You know, you can't just do it for a paycheck. I guess you can, but then where's the heart and where's the passion and where's all that other shit, you know?
Oh, dude, if they were going to give me $1 million a tour playing nothing but songs I hate, I'd fucking do it in 2 seconds.
It'd be almost hard to write them, though. Yeah. So here's the other thing that's interesting, too. And what's his face? Who's the big music producer that was part of Def Jam? Rick Rubin.
Yeah.
He was recently interviewed, or maybe it was a while back or whatever, and he said some really cool shit. And I'm just going to paraphrase. Essentially, he was just like, the moment you start creating music for other people is essentially the moment that your music carries less weight to it. And the beauty of music is that you can do exactly what you want, and it will be profound to some people out there. Not everybody's going to get it. And if they did, it'd be a fucking problem. It's a spice of life. We're all different. But like when you start writing for the sole purpose, because you're worried about being judged about what you're doing isn't good enough, or it's not what people want to hear, then you're just really throwing your soul into the trash can. You know what I mean? Because like you got to do what you want to do, and then that's what people are attracted to in music, not this cookie cutter shit you're talking about, Jake. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
This Anne Berlin record, whatever. Like, you got to maintain yourself when you're an artist, and that's the beauty of art, and that's why people are attracted to it. It's because it's so foreign to them, and there's something appealing and something they can gravitate to. That's what separates you from everybody else, is your unique individualism. And I don't think that like playing music to appease people is necessarily the way, because look around, man. There's so many bands that sound the same that have never made it. The people who make it are the trailblazers that sound original, and you're like, wow, you know. And the rest is just mediocrity, and we don't. I mean, that's fine. We respect it, but that stuff doesn't usually rise to the top. You know, you can make a career doing mediocre things for sure, but if that's what you want to do, go for it. But it's never been my goal. So I don't know. I don't think the record label's pushing them to do this. It's probably a bit of their own self inward looking. Maybe it's a lot of influence over the years, different shit they're listening to. Maybe it's that they feel they can now write a better song. Maybe they have a bigger budget, you know, or something, and they've made enough contacts that they can spend all this time and get a producer, and the producer's influencing them. There's so many variables, man. Maybe it's not even the same fucking lineup. Who knows? You know, those bands go through lineup changes all the time.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that it's obviously only they can answer that question, and
I went on for a long time.
I don't know. I think what just bugs me about it is like, like I said, it's not one of these things where I don't think they should do it or that they don't have any right or anything like that. I think that I fully believe that they should make the music that they want to make. I get so easily bored and tune out whenever I just hear a song and I'm just like, oh, I can't even tell what band this is because there's no distinguishing feature about it whatsoever.
Yeah.
Because even like the vocals, they're, like I said, there's like tuning and stuff on them, and it's just like, all right, well, I mean, I guess that's what's making the money right now,
right.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, we can move on. I just that was just a thought I was having right before we started the show.
All right. Well, very good. Well, I want to talk about a couple things real quick. I know we have One Black Talent is a 3D printer. He's a 3D artist at this point. Two fucking quick things. Jake, I sent you a picture to your phone.
Yeah, I saw that. I don't know what it is.
Okay, so it's all 3D printed. Okay? So I'm working on 3D printing this Hero Quest shit. And I painted those tiles and shit. But so look at the very bottom piece. It's blue. You see the outer ring around it? Just like it looks like little Lego bricks.
Yep.
So the lighter colored bricks are actually little clips that I've printed out. And what I do is I insert a little 5mm ball magnet in each one and poke them in. And then the walls are modular and they just magnetize in place. They're little pieces. So you can put doors anywhere. It's really cool. Slick. So for those who, you can't see it anyways, but anyways, I've been 3D printing my ass off for my Hero Quest group, and eventually we're going to get into Advanced Hero Quest, and it is a modular dungeon system. I have everything I need to remake the board like this, the Hero Quest board, but I can also do modular dungeon placements now, which is awesome. So every quest can look and feel different. But I'm currently working on printing the clips off and magnetizing it all and finish painting it and stuff, but it's been a fucking project. Needless to say, where I was going with this is One Black Talent. I know I'm talking to you directly through the speakers of whatever you're listening to. I know that you do 3D printing, and I ran into my first FDM 3D printer mishap. And, these things have consumable parts. That's all part of this game. The nozzle is like a little screw that goes into the 3D printer, and they give you tools to try to clean it out if it gets clogged, and they give you different things to try to fix it when you first buy. They give you a couple spare parts. Of course, you're going to go through the PLA or whatever kind of material you're printing. But I clogged a nozzle, and I was like, "Fuck!" I don't even know what to do. So I had to figure it all out. It came with a replacement nozzle. I replaced it. Got it dialed back in, leveled the bed, did like 2 more prints, and it clogged again. And that's not normal for a new nozzle. And I'm like, well, something's going on with the extruder, something's going on with the hot end, or the fan maybe isn't working. And then it became like this big fucking mountain to climb, like mentally and like try research-wise. Turned out it was the Teflon tube inside that feeds... Not the big long tube that the filament goes through, but the one inside the extruder. I think what happened was, I think I now dissected the problem. I ran out of filament, but it kept the temperature the same, and it just moved the nozzle away from the print until I changed the filament, but it just ran and ran and ran at like 220 degrees, and it burnt through that Teflon tube, I think, and it started melting it inside, and I had no idea. So I was able to replace the Teflon tube, got new nozzle in, and we are rocking and rolling again. Now, I don't know if it was a bad run of filament, because I did replace the filament spool also, because I just didn't want to like fuck with it anymore. So I do have a roll of filament that may be bad, but it's Anycubic, just regular PLA, so it should be fine. It's not the high-speed stuff, but I am using the high-speed stuff now, as I'm printing it like, I don't know, close to 300 whatever speed. But it's cruising right now, and we're back to printing well. That was my mishap over the past week, but it sucks because what I would do if the print succeeds, it cools itself down. It'll print, it ends, and then the print head moves out of the way. It cools the bed, and then it cools the nozzle. And then when the nozzle's cool, you don't have to worry about anything burning up or anything. Well, when it runs out of filament, the printer tries to keep the temperature so it doesn't have to reheat back up, and you can just go swap out the filament. Well, I was at work, and that thing just was cooking for hours, just waiting for me to replace the filament. I think it fucked it up. So, anyways, it's fixed. But, man, I will say this. The resin printers, pain in the freaking ass to, troubleshoot. FDM printer, it's more mechanical. Resin is just messy. Mm-hmm. So, anyways, that's the big difference. But, anyhow, happy to report on my 3D printing escapades. We're getting started late, so we'll shut up about all this stuff. I was at the Warren State Hospital again today. It was awesome. Beautiful out. What a great drive. Nothing exciting happened, except I did walk around the entire campus on my lunch break, and that was amazing. So pretty. I didn't run into any. I actually had to ask somebody else at my job site. I was like, am I allowed to just kind of walk around, or am I going to get, tackled or something by security? And they're like, oh, no, you're fine. Just walk around. There's walking trails all over the campus. I was like, cool. So that was fun. But every episode we talk about games that we are playing, and this episode is no different. So we're going to talk real quick about some exciting things going on that we're playing. I told everybody last episode I was going to start the casting of Frank Stone. And you may like the title to today's episode. No one will know what it means, but it's the casting of Frad Steeters. Not to be Fred Oakman or Fred Peters or Jake Peters. It's Frad Steeters. So it kind of sounds like Frank Stone. But I'm playing this game, right? And I got some things to say about it. Let me take a swig. Hold on. All right, here we go. Did Supermassive miss with the casting of Frank Stone? I'm on chapter 9. I've got 5 hours in. I hear it takes about 6 to 7 hours to beat. And there's a ton of different paths you can take, so the replayability's there. I only now have started caring about this game. 5 hours in. The first... They do a lot of jumping around on a timeline in this game, and it's a narrative story. So they're only now starting to explain why I've been jumping around to different timelines. And if the game's 7 hours and I'm 5 hours in, and it's only now starting to make sense, I understand what people's gripe is about the story in this game. It's a slow burn. It started off so fucking slow. This is by far, so far, my least favorite Supermassive game. But up until about 30 minutes ago, well, not 30 minutes ago, I would say about an hour ago, when some shit happened, and I was like, oh, this is fucking cool. Why they waited so long to have anything of relevance happen is beyond me in this story. It is very fucking slow. Now, I don't know if the whole game is an homage to Dead by Daylight or Death by Daylight or whatever the hell that game's called, because it is a game made in conjunction. It's in that universe. And some of the collectibles are these little dolls that don't make any sense. I think they're just bad guys from Dead by Daylight. And every time you find one, the character will just be like, oh, as if things couldn't get any more creepy. And it's like, okay. But it doesn't explain why the fuck you're picking them up. They have no relevance to the game at all, from what I understand. There's also these little trinkets that you collect. And out of all the Supermassive games, this game has the absolute least amount of gameplay. It's walk, look for a thing, find a thing, cutscene. Walk, have a conversation. There are so few options in dialogue. There are so few sequences where it's like, oh, save this person or save that person. So far, none of that has happened. I have had one person die, and it was so fucking vague that I didn't know that even my life was in jeopardy. It just presented itself as an option, and then I died. And I was like, what the fuck? So that happened, and I will also say this. The game, I believe, only runs at 30 frames per second, and there's no performance mode. I might want to look that up, but I can't find it if it exists. And I'll also say that I'm playing it on survivor mode, which means like it's not an easy, it's like medium level. There are some quick time events where you'll get a little circle and there'll be like imagine like an old golf game where like you have to time pressing the button so it lines right up with the sliver on the circle.
Yeah.
It goes like this. The sliver on all of these quick time events are near fucking impossible to hit at 30 frames per second. It's just like the timing, there's input lag. So these pivotal situations have been very difficult to time perfectly. And like 9 times out of 10, I get the bad situation. And like I'm playing on medium difficulty. You'd think like that sliver would be a little bigger.
Yeah.
Voice acting is all right. It's a little jank. It's some of it looks really good, some of it looks really bad, but dude, I'm excited to be done with it because now I'm getting close to like where it's getting exciting and it's ramping up, and I think it's going to ramp up for like the last 20% and then just end, and I'm going to be let down. But there's also some reading. You'll pick up like one thing that sucks about the game is that like there's a lot of like books that you can pick up that are pertinent to the story, kind of like newspaper articles about something that maybe happened that's relevant to what you're kind of investigating or trying to figure out as characters. But like the text is really small. It like you can read it on the thing you pick up, and then on the side it'll come up with just like text, like you're reading an email or something. But the text is super small, and there's like paragraphs of it. And it's like, I have a big ass TV and I'm struggling reading it. And if you go back and pick up that same book by mistake, you can't just set it back down. You have to reopen it and go through the pages before you can set it back down again. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? Such a waste of time. So there's little things like that that are like really annoying to me. But overall, I'm going to say like the story is getting good, but I just don't understand why they waited so long to blow their load. Like, I don't understand. Like, give me some story. Just give me some fucking story. I don't know. The gist of it is, because nobody knows what the fuck the game's even about, the casting of Frank Stone. What does that even mean? I initially thought, because like I think it's a play on words, because he's like Frank Stone's a character. This is minor spoilers. He's working in some sort of machine factory where there's an incinerary. So, in like a big room where like you cast metal pieces, right? You make them. So there's casting in that regard being referenced perhaps, but there's also a group of kids who are trying to film a horror movie. Apparently Frank Stone was a bad guy. There were people missing. He worked at this place. There was some sort of showdown at his place of employment. And there's rumored, now that it's shut down, it's rumored that it's haunted or whatever. So these kids want to go film a scary movie there. So, you know, of course, they get this weird camera and they're, you know, an 8mm camera, and they're shooting their thing, and then shit starts getting weird in that timeline. And then you're also in like a current timeline where you're playing some of those kids as adults, like elderly people. So like it's weird, but now it's starting to make sense why I'm in both timelines, or maybe even 3 different timelines. But it's fucking weird, man. I don't know. They could have done better with the story, and I don't know.
Sounds like season 2 of what's that fucking show called?
I don't even know.
That TV show that's American Horror Story.
Oh, okay.
Where it's like current timeline and like old school timeline of like everything that happened in the asylum. It's kind of like they're happening at the same time during the show, and it kind of bounces back and forth. Like that's a pretty interesting way to tell a story, but it has to be done right. Otherwise, if you're bouncing around too much, it just it can just hurt the story. Like I think that's why a lot of people didn't like Beyond Two Souls, was because the story took place out of order.
Yeah.
And it's like just, and I think that there have been like patches for it where they have like a mode where you can play everything in order, and apparently the game is like way better when you do that. It's like, I get that you're trying to be cute, but just fucking tell the story.
Yeah.
That's the way I feel about it sometimes is all.
Yeah, I do appreciate the fact that they tell you what timeline you're in when you're playing it. They don't make that a mystery. You know what I mean? It's not like you're guessing. Like, you know.
Sure.
And it's not so egregious that it's confusing. What's confusing about it is like, why am I existing? Why am I playing these kids in the 50s, and then why am I adults as these kids? Like, just tell me what the fuck happened in between so that I understand the relevance of being them in the older or present day or whatever. It's just, I don't know. But we're there now, and I wish they would have just fucking let the cat out of the bag sooner so I could have enjoyed all of it. And, like, maybe the game is meant to be played a second time with its short gameplay length, but knowing what's going on now, it does maybe make it a little more interesting to go back and play it again. But fuck, man, not at 30 frames per second. Like, you know, sometimes games like this that are more cinematic, like, I don't mind the 30 frames, but it just feels like even walking around feels bad. You know, it just doesn't feel good on the controller. And I'm going to look up and see if it has a 60 frames. The casting of Frank Stone performance mode, question mark. Okay, here we go. It is 30 FPS locked, no performance mode, heads up for people who want to purchase this. And then someone says, fairly certain it's 60 frames per second on the Series X. It's a performance bug that QA must have missed. There's a way to get it to run 60 FPS on PS5 as well. What? Hold on. How? It's absolutely awful at 30. This is on Reddit. 30 FPS. The fact that there are skill checks makes it so much worse. That's exactly what I'm fucking saying. They say turn off the film grain and motion blur, close out of the game completely, and relaunch. Seems to be fixing the issue for a lot of people. If not, then unfortunately wait for a patch. Oh, fuck. I didn't know that. Well, I know what I'm going to do. Turn off film grain, motion blur. Out the game completely and relaunch. All right. Well, I'll give that a shot and report back next week. You shouldn't have to fucking do that, though. That's crazy. I've been playing it. It's so fucking... so slow. It's probably more like 25 frames per second. Like, it feels so bad. Anyways, fuck you, Massive. I was really excited for this game. Don't screw up the new one coming out. Whatever. Directive.
Massive?
Or what?
Supermassive.
Supermassive. Directive.
Yeah.
What's it called? Something Directive. What's their new game that they're putting out?
Who knows?
Next Supermassive game. Directive 8020. It's coming out in 2025. So we'll see.
Oh, is that like the space one?
Yeah. It looks fucking cool.
Okay. Yeah, that looked cool.
And they're saying it's way more gameplay than the other games. They've overhauled the way they do stuff, they said.
That's good.
What about you, Jake? What are you playing?
I'm just playing, still playing whatever, that game that's going to take me forever to finish.
Fantasio?
Yeah. Yeah, Metaphor. Still really enjoying it. Don't really have anything else to say about it, so okay. I can kind of leave it at that. It's, I will admit, like, I think I'm just going to start freaking going, just kind of playing it, and then if I have to, like, I can go grind somewhere or something, because I get a little bit of analysis paralysis with these types of games where it's like, oh, you've got to do these things, but you only have so many days, but you can only do one thing a day, and it's like you got to choose which things are most important and like all this stuff, and it's just like, and there are a lot of times where like, oh, I want to see more of the story, so I want to do the things where I spend time with my friends or whatever, or like my allies. But then it's like, oh, you have to do these other random things to get your stats up. And it's like, well, those aren't as fun, though. So I don't know. I might just start kind of... I mean, I'm like 20 hours into it right now. So I might get to a point where I just start steamrolling the game and just, like... I don't... Steamrolling is not the right word. and not even necessarily mainlining it either, but like not caring so much about the little things, and just kind of going with it. Because I'm not gonna try and platinum this game or anything. And if I get really stuck, I could always drop the difficulty. But I'm trying to play it on normal and be happy with it. So anyway, yeah, that's it. Still liking it.
Very good. Well, how about we get into the news? We have 8 or 9 news points to cover real quick today. There's no list of new games this week to go over, but there are a couple interesting news points. And thanks again for listening to us here today and being here with us. First news point is, let me write down the time real quick. Leave the listeners hanging for 5 seconds. Black Ops 6 Call of Duty. Not going to have a platinum. Now, this isn't uncommon for Call of Duty games. I don't think a lot of them have platinums. But as a reminder, Jake, this game's coming out real soon, October 25th. Any interest in this?
I mean, I have interest in the story. It looks cool, but, that's about it. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. I'm tempted to, because I do have... I'm pretty sure I do still have a Game Pass subscription. I'm tempted to just play the campaign of it on Game Pass, and then because I've been wanting to cancel my Game Pass subscription because they're increasing the price, probably because they're bringing Call of Duty to it, and I don't play my Xbox very often, so I think what I might end up doing is, because I don't think these campaigns are very long, I may try and play it like in conjunction with Metaphor. Just play like the Call of Duty campaign and then cancel my Game Pass subscription. But I am interested. The campaigns are always freaking rad for these. The only Call of Duty campaign that I hated the campaign for, the only Call of Duty game I hated the campaign for was Black Ops 3, I think, which is the one where it gets like really fucking mental, where it's like, yeah, I don't know. There's something about it that I just like. I thought it was just kind of like stupid. Like, why are you doing this? Just give me my freaking war movie fantasy. Like that. Like that's what I want out of these. And you can give me some interesting characters, but I don't need like your psychological takes with my character. Like, it just seems a little bit weird to me. But a digression. But yes, I am interested. I think it is kind of stupid that they don't have platinum trophies. But at the same time, I guess I kind of understand it. I don't know. Because they're not like most players don't play it for the single player. And most people that really care about the single player don't play probably a lot of the multiplayer. Right. Although that could be incorrect. So maybe it's like, they're like, it's not worth it. But I thought, it could be wrong, I thought there was a requirement. There must just be a requirement to have trophies. They must not be required to have a platinum.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Unfortunate, though, for the people that care.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think people are playing Call of Duty for the platinum.
Yeah, I doubt it.
All right, let's get on to the next news point here. Fallout Season 2. We both watched the first season of Fallout. And that's HBO? Was that HBO? Peacock? No, Amazon Prime?
Amazon. I think it was Amazon.
Okay. Well, they announced that it's going to be filming Season 2 soon. So that's going to be interesting. I thought Walter Goggins was amazing. And not only this wasn't on my news list, but Until Dawn, also supermassive game, is got a remaster. And they're also, PlayStation Studios, making a movie out of the game, and that will be coming out in 2025. So, talking about video game mediums, we're getting movies from these games, TV shows. I still think that The Last of Us is the best so far of all of them. Now, I haven't watched Borderlands, and I haven't watched Need for Speed, or whatever that other one is.
Gran Turismo?
Nope, I haven't watched that either. About What's that?
Twisted Metal?
Yeah, Twisted Metal.
Twisted Metal?
Yeah. But so far, I'm taking a liking to The Last of Us. But I wasn't a big fan of the Uncharted movie at all. But I'd love to see the second one if they've got Sully in there.
I don't know. I did like the Uncharted movie. I'm not going to sit here and say it was a great movie, but I was entertained by it. And The Last of Us obviously was great. I really enjoyed the Fallout TV show. There was a couple of things about it that annoyed me from a character perspective, but the way that the show looked and the theme of the show and the main character, whatever her name was, and then the Walter Goggins character were also awesome. That kid that was in that Disney Channel show plays the brother. He was really good in it. So yeah, I'm excited for season 2 of Fallout, and obviously we're gonna get next year. We're gonna get season 2 of The Last of Us, which will be cool. As far as Until Dawn goes, I don't know how I feel about them making a movie because the game is already basically a movie, and really what makes that interesting is how your player choice kind of affects the outcome of it. So it's like Until Dawn. What are they going to do? Like, what choices are they going to make for the movie, if that makes any sense? Like, what is the canon story arc for Until Dawn that is going to be the movie version of it? Because theoretically, I think it's supposed to be like the events of the game. So, I don't know, man. I'm kind of curious if it'll be good or not, and how well it'll translate, given that it's such a choice-based branching path kind of game. Because if you think about something like these types of games, Until Dawn was great, but I thought like my favorites of these types of games would probably be Walking Dead Season 1, obviously, Heavy Rain, and Until Dawn was good, obviously, but then like Detroit
What about The First Life is Strange?
The First Life is Strange was really good. So, like, if you take all these style of games, kind of what makes them good is what happens because of the choices that you make. So, I don't know, because you're like, oh, you think about, like, some of the shit that happened in Walking Dead Season 1 and, like, what could have happened when you made decisions you made. But it's even worse than Until Dawn because it's like, you could literally have everyone be killed in that game. So it's like, it's really important what choices you make. So I don't know how they're going to translate that to the movie. But if this does work, I'll be curious if they see if some of these other IP will work. Like, I think Detroit Become Human could make a really cool sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
Almost like a Blade Runner-esque kind of movie. I think would be... obviously, I think Blade Runner was probably an inspiration for Detroit. But I think that it would be kind of a neat movie. And, Walking Dead Season 1, we don't need a movie of that because we already have the Walking Dead show. Life is Strange might be kind of interesting. Wolf Among Us would be kind of cool, actually. But I just don't know how that would translate because of the supernatural element of it with, like, all the fairy tale characters. But, yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see. Cautiously optimistic about it, though.
Yeah. Yeah, very good. All right. Next up, we have a quick news story about our much appreciated game, Alan Wake 2. It's getting an anniversary update. And that's exciting. And that's happening like this. It probably, I think it happens, actually recording this on Monday, I think it happens tomorrow on Tuesday, the 22nd. But also, the Lake House DLC will be available. I have not yet played any of the DLC. The update was going to include, the anniversary update will include features to the title such as a gyro aiming ability, and it's going to update accessibility options, and also PS5 haptic feedback features are going to be expanded to include healing items and throwables, and now the X-axis, Jake, can be inverted.
That's interesting. I mean, I've always thought it was kind of like inverted X has always been kind of a strange thought to me, but for whatever reason, I always play with inverted Y, so I guess I don't know why that wouldn't be strange.
I don't know that even flight simulators invert the X.
No, they don't. It's just the Y that's inverted. But I don't know. I really liked Alan Wake 2, and I'd like to play the DLC for this, but I just don't know when I'm going to get to it. I thought that I would do it for maybe like my October game, but I don't know. I just with
Dude,
Metaphor.
Yeah, you're not even going to play an October game. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, so like I don't know. Like Metaphor is one of those games I could probably step away for a little bit and come back or whatever because it is so long, but that's really not how I play games. But I am interested in jumping back into this game, but it might be more of a winter game than an October game.
Fair enough. I think that this is definitely a game I'm going to revisit, but it's not going to be this month. Or maybe even next month. But I'm glad that this is all happening. And we all know, next news point, we all know that Lance Reddick, the famous actor, had passed away. Was that last year or this year? I can't remember. I think it was last year. It might have been the beginning of this year. But
yeah.
Anyways, he was the voice actor for Sylens. And he also was the voice actor for Commander Zavala in Destiny. Lance Reddick was. And Sylens, the interesting NPC from Horizon, it has been announced they're going to recast the character of Sylens since the passing of Lance. And there are rumors circulating that Keith David might be stepping into that role. And the reason is because Keith David also stepped in to fill in Lance's place for Commander Zavala in Destiny. So they're thinking that he just might be the new Lance Reddick, Keith David.
And it's also because the freaking voice actor industry in video games is rinse and repeat, and he is the middle-aged black guy. So that's just who he plays all of the characters. It's like that one, I wish I remembered her name, but that one actress that always plays like the middle-aged into elderly, like Indian/Arab woman in like every fucking TV show and movie. Do you know what I'm talking about? If you saw a picture of her, you would know exactly who I'm talking about. But it's I don't know. Like I'm not dissing Keith David because he's fucking awesome. But it's like
he's got a stranglehold on the voice.
It's like Troy
actor.
Baker. He's in fucking everything. You know what I mean? So why not put him in this? And I don't want it to be. I hope it's not a thing where it's like everybody just kind of blends Lance Reddick and Keith David together because of these roles. Like he should have a distinctive career. And I'm not saying that he won't, but
he also has a really deep voice. I mean, you got to have that low, boomy voice. But doesn't the guy who voices Kratos, isn't he a black dude? And doesn't he have a really low voice?
Yeah, that's oh fuck,
I forget his name.
Didn't he play the guy? He was in like Stargate SG-1.
It's Christopher Judge.
Yeah.
So
I
wouldn't be surprised if maybe they cast Christopher Judge as well.
Could be. But he's a little he might be a little bit too
brawny kind of sounding.
Epic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm not saying this is obviously like
imagine that voice out of fucking Sylens.
It would be funny. I mean, I think that honestly, like by the time we get the third game,
yeah.
When you listen to this, it's not even going to jump out to you that it's a different actor. Not that their voices don't sound different.
It's just so far out of the way.
It'll be like, oh, it's been 5 years since I've heard Sylens' voice.
Yeah.
So
you're going to forget what Sylens sounded like.
Right. So even though they do sound different, I think it's a decent casting. He's a great voice actor.
Mm-hmm.
Good for him.
All right. 4 more news points to go. This is my favorite time of the year to drink cider. I've got a glass of cider and some cinnamon whiskey in there, and it tastes phenomenal. Just like fall.
There you go.
That's what you're hearing, folks, when you hear those gulps. It's not a promotion.
I'm drinking water.
Yeah.
And seltzer.
I bet you are. All right.
Man.
It Takes Two developer, Hazelight Studios, is... I just had a weird noise show up on my whatever this is. But anyway, Hazelight Studios, they're teasing their next new game, Joseph Farrow, whatever the guy's name is. People have kind of sleuthed out what the name of this game's going to be. Very likely this game's going to be called Split Fiction. And I like the title. No one knows what it's about, but he's excited to share it with us. He's excited to show us. So, Jake, any interest in what It Takes Two developer Hazelight is working on, the fact that they're talking about it a little bit? Dude, maybe that noise was Jake dropping off the call. Oh, geez. I don't hear Jake, and I think we've lost him. Let me shoot him a quick text message. I'm not editing this video. So we're just going to send him a text like, dude, I think I lost you. Dude, I lost you. All right. I don't know how to disconnect. There he is. Wait, hold on. Jake?
Yep.
I lost you for the longest time there. Are you there?
Yeah. You were like going weird. I'm not sure what was going on.
But
I mean,
that's fine. I'm not editing it out. Did you hear what I said?
My connection's really good. I heard literally nothing that you said.
Oh.
So it was just like
This is so weird.
for like the last 2 minutes.
All right. Well, no worries. I'll tell you. It's Hazelight teasing a new game. It's going to be called Split Fiction. Are you curious to see anything about it?
So I mean, based on the name, it kind of sounds like it's going to be the same sort of cooperative kind of experience as It Takes Two.
Well, it's a speculated guess of a name. Most people have sleuthed this out. I don't know if it's real or not, but sounds like it. To be clear, he put out a tweet and it had all of the right letters. It was like S and then like 1, 2, 3, 4 asterisks after, and then all these asterisks, and then it ends with an N. And then some other company said something about a game by Take-Two called Split Fiction, and it all just tracks. So we're thinking that's what it is.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I just I think like, dude, It Takes Two has been wildly successful, and I've never played it.
Neither have I.
Mostly because I don't play games with other people. But I think it sold something like 20 million copies or something like that, which is fucking astronomical for a game like this.
And for a company like this, they're not a big developer.
No, and I think they're that's like an EA Originals kind of game, which is really cool. I mean, it's awesome that they're as successful as they are, and people really seem to respond to their games. So whatever this new game is, if it is called Split Fiction or whatever it is, if it's in the same sort of stratosphere as It Takes Two, I can't imagine it won't be at least successful. It may not be 20 million sold successful like It Takes Two was, because that game was a fucking phenomenon. But I believe it'll probably be pretty successful.
Yeah.
Hazelight Studios games. What did they make before
they
that?
Did a Way Out.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think
and
people
Brothers.
really like that too. They did do Brothers?
Mm-hmm.
A Tale of Two Sons?
Yep.
That game was okay. I mean, I thought it was interesting. I didn't really...
It was a neat idea.
Yeah, I didn't really like having to control both characters at once. Like, it was a little bit more puzzly than I really cared for from that perspective. Oh, dude, fucking A Way Out. I just Googled A Way Out sales. looks like it's sold almost 10 million units. So like, dude, their games are successful. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I played A Way Out with LJ. That was fun.
That's really cool. I think there's something to be said about like an intimate co-op experience like that.
Especially
not intimate in like a, obviously not intimate in necessarily like a romantic setting, but like it's like very much two people working together to accomplish some goal. It's not like a co-op freaking campaign in Call of Duty or something.
Right.
So
cool.
It's cool though.
All right. 3 more news points real quick. There's a game called Phasmophobia. And from what I understand, it did really well on PC, at least early access or whatever. It's a multiplayer ghost hunting game. And it's made by Kinetic Games. It finally now has a release date for PS5. And, it'll be here just in time for Halloween. The game's going to release October 29th. So if you're into co-op shit and you like scary shit, this game might be something for you to check out here in a week. I guess people are jazzed about this. And I'm all into this kind of thing. I like the idea of getting scared with friends. It's fun. It's like going to a haunted house with people. It's fun. Anyways, just put that on people's radar. We'll move on to the next news point because the next one's kind of really exciting. I don't know if you've seen any trailers for this game, but there's a game called CLAIR Obscure Expedition 33. It's not a AAA developer. The game looks very polished.
Fucking awesome.
In the trailer.
It looks so good.
And the retail for this game is going to be $50 fucking dollars. And gamers and people interested in this game are like, yeah, that has to be a typo. And the studio came out and they said, no, we're going to affirm it is going to be $50. This is our first game. And we just really want people to discover this world that we built and we put all this time into. And essentially that's them admitting that they can price people out of a new project or a new game, and they think that they want to price it, a little lower to make sure that it doesn't deter people from trying out their new studio and what they're coming up with. So I think that's smart. I think they stand to gain way more than they stand to lose with that $10-$20 there difference.
Dude, have you seen like footage of this game?
Oh yeah, I saw the trailer. I haven't seen any gameplay.
It looks, because it's like a Western game, but with like JRPG kind of combat. Like it looks fucking cool. I don't know how to describe it. People should just go look up like gameplay footage of this game. It looks so cool.
It's so pretty.
Yeah. So I am. Do we know when this is coming out?
I don't think so. But they're starting to show shit on the PlayStation channel, so I think Sony's really behind this game and really likes it. I think it was initially, so next year is supposed to come out. Well, there was a preview last month and some gameplay preview, and then there was a brand new cast reveal trailer that came out 5 days ago on the PlayStation YouTube channel. So they're gearing up. So if it's coming out next year, it's going to be early next year, I'd imagine.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I think this was originally revealed at, I want to say an Xbox showcase, but either way, this game looks really good. I'm quite excited for it, to be honest with you.
So it's kind of interesting. So they describe it loosely. The story is like there's a painter, and the painter paints these worlds. In every world she paints, it's got a number associated with it. And then when the painter is done with the painting, they wipe it clear, and everybody in that world just dies. And then the painter starts again. And I guess the idea is that this, and she's counting down, the painter's counting down to 0. So 34 gets cleared, 33 happens, and these people are trying to get to the painter to keep her from clearing off the world that they live in. And
it's like my understanding is like everyone who is the age of the number that gets wiped dies.
Oh, okay. So interesting.
So like the people that are the age of the next number that's going to get wiped are the ones that are sent on the expedition to try and solve this problem. because they're going to die anyway if they don't figure it out.
Right.
So it's a really neat concept.
The game looks so fucking good.
Yeah, dude. I've just been kind of like watching some just gameplay footage while we've been kind of talking, and the combat just looks so cool. So I'm not like, I enjoy a JRPG from time to time. Obviously, I'm playing Metaphor right now, but they're by far not my favorite genre. Mm-hmm. But like, this just looks so different and so unique and just visually stunning, almost like the first time I like saw something like Persona 5, but in the complete opposite direction. Like, this is a very Western looking game, very high fidelity, very like fantasy rich kind of.
Yeah. Now, when you say Western,
like,
you don't mean like the Midwest, like an old outlaw shoot 'em up game. You mean Western is in North America.
I mean Western is in like think like, you know, Skyrim instead of Final Fantasy.
Right.
Like, that's like Final Fantasy would be a very Eastern style fantasy game, and Skyrim is a very Western style fantasy game. They have very different flavors to them, and this fits more within the Western genre. Mm-hmm. And I don't. Do you know where this studio is located? I don't even know what the name of the studio is.
I can't remember what they're called. Don't even remember what they're called.
Anyway, I mean, regardless, I am excited for this game for sure.
Well, they're called Studio Clair Obscure.
Wait, what?
I think that's the name of their studio. Unless that's like something completely different.
Clair Obscure developer, Sandfall Interactive.
Dude, I looked up Clair Obscure developer and it came up with Studio Clair Obscure.
That's really weird. I just went to the wiki page, the Wikipedia page for it, and it says this developer, Sandfall Interactive. So, I mean, they're obviously new. The developer doesn't even have a Wikipedia page yet, so it's pretty freaking rad.
There are some, I
gotta say,
ex-Ubisoft developers also involved in this that started the studio, or with the studio. So,
cool.
Yeah, dude, this is cool. Sandfall Interactive goes on record to explain why its RPG Clair Obscure Expedition 33 will launch at a notably lower price. That's on.
They're located in France.
It looks dope, dude.
Yep.
Cool. But let's not forget that looks aren't everything, because when Kena Bridge of Spirits came out, it looked beautiful. Very minimal gameplay in that game. There was gameplay, don't get me wrong, but it handled like a PS2 or PS3 game. It was beautiful, though. So don't let looks completely fool you, but it does look promising. Last but not least, the last news point is, Jake, we talked about Life is Strange a little bit ago, and this one's kind of a bummer. So, Life is Strange Double Exposure, the new Life is Strange game, being released by Square Enix, they were going to charge fans of the series $30 for early access to the games, the first 2 episodes, which already happened. So the game doesn't release until 10/29, but they gave early access to anyone who paid $30 to the first 2 episodes early. There are data miners. They've gotten their hands on these early access files. They ripped the entire dialogue from all of the episodes off of these files. And now it's being, the plot, the ending, all this stuff is being spoiled on 4chan. And it's, all kinds of spoilers. So now Square Enix is kind of burned. So I don't know. Do you think it was a good call to do this early access shit, to flirt with this? Or do you think like this is just the price you pay nowadays by releasing shit early? Or
I mean, it is what it is. Freaking, hacker's gonna hack. So it's to me, what's annoying about it is that if the whole game is there, just release the whole fucking game.
Well, the audio files are there.
But even still, it's like, okay, well, I don't know. I mean, maybe maybe it's just dialogue and it's not like everything. But it wouldn't surprise me if like the whole game is done. They're just kind of, dropping it out in little chunks so that you kind of have to pay individually for it or whatever. And it's like, I don't know. I get it, but at the same time, is the whole game going to be out by the 29th?
I don't know anything about it, to be honest, which sucks. I like the Life is Strange games. What's it called? Double Exposure?
Double Exposure. Exposure.
Release schedule. Players who pre-ordered the Ultimate Edition of the game receive early access to... Oh, no! The whole game comes out on the 29th, but the first 2 chapters are available early access for people.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Well, I mean, that's fine. I'm okay with that. I mean, they definitely open themselves up to spoilers by releasing this stuff. But it's like, at minimum, the first 2 chapters would have been spoiled anyway by it being released early. And they just had a chance to be able to spoil the rest of it. It's like, I don't know, maybe just don't go on 4chan. It's one of those things where maybe it'll happen to me eventually, and I guess maybe I don't live online enough for this to ever be a problem for me, but I never see any of these spoilers that happen on the internet.
You just don't get on the dark web enough.
Well, I don't, like, if I am worried about, like, let's say The Last of Us Part 3 comes out and I'm worried about fucking spoilers, I'm just not going to read anything until after I've played the game. I'm not going to like read any Twitter shit or any of that stuff. Now, I guess if you really follow that stuff deeply every single day, I mean, crap's going to get spoiled for you, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it's hard to avoid for some people. But for me, it's just like, I don't know. This is rarely a problem for me, but it sucks for people who did get spoiled.
Sure it does.
And the people who do the spoiling should be like thrown in jail or something. I don't know, because it's just a dick move. It's just like it's like doing it just because you want to be a dick. Like I don't really know why else you would do something like that.
Right. You think it's funny to spoil it for somebody.
Like, it would be one thing if you were like, if it was a ransomware thing and you were trying to get money out of the company, like what happened with Insomniac or whatever. Like, that I understand. At least there's a motivation other than just being a piece of shit. You're like, oh, I'm trying to get money out of them because I want to be rich or because of whatever. But, like, at least there's a reason other than just purely being a piece of shit. I don't know. That might be a weird state of view or weird point of view, but I just don't understand it. Like, I don't understand wanting to ruin somebody else's fun. Maybe if a person like personally offended you and you wanted to hurt them and you use spoilers to hurt them, that I would understand. But ruining the game for uncountable numbers of strangers, like that, I don't get. I don't know. That's like school shooter mentality.
It's just vindictive.
Yeah, I get it.
School shooter mentality. I don't know. That might be a little extreme, but yeah, I know what you mean. Though there's just no rhyme or reason to it. Well, that about wraps it up for the show, man. I got nothing else for the listeners. We hope you enjoyed the episode of 348, rather, I think, of PS This Is Awesome, PlayStation Podcast. I'm going to finish off the casting of Frank Stone this week, and then I'll be back with my final verdict on the game, let you know if I do a little bit of an about face on it, and then I hope to jump into Dead Space remake. So I've never played the original Dead Space. So that'll be my next Halloween
buddy.
game. So I'm excited.
You should. I really do want to replay it because I started it, but I never finished it. It's so good.
Yeah.
I'm excited for you to play it.
Yeah,
I'm actually curious what you will think, seeing as how you never played the original.
Yeah,
if it'll stand out to you or not.
I'm excited to play it. Yeah, I heard really good things about it, and Yeah, so that's on my agenda, and then going into November, mid-November, so I'll probably get back to Astro Bot and try to beat that. And playing the supermassive game I'm playing right now does make me want to go back to Switchback, which was the Dark Coaster game for VR2, Switchback VR. I got far in it, but I didn't beat it yet, and I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of creepy to play that. So I don't know, I'll have to jump back in. It did freak me out a little bit here and there, more so than I thought it was gonna, just because it was just kind of weird. It's just different, but it was cool, man. I enjoyed the crap out of it. But it had a lot of pixel issues when they released it, and they've done a lot of up-resing to it, so it's back where it needs to be.
Yeah, speaking of VR, I need to get back to Half-Life Alyx. I still haven't finished that either. Yeah, it is pretty unreal. It just speaks to the power of convenience.
This is a game you've wanted to play for
kidding.
How long?
I've mentioned on the show countless times how I still think that Half-Life 2 is one of the greatest first-person shooters ever made. And even as much as I love that game, and even as much as I love my experience so far with Half-Life Alyx, it's just like getting set up and standing there and like playing it, and it's tiring, and it's like, okay, well, I don't know. I mean, I can sit down on my couch a lot easier. So, yeah, the bane of VR is convenience, I think.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in. We're going to sign off. Jake, you don't have anything for the listeners, do you? You good?
No, I'm quite good.
All right, sounds good. All right, so like Ecochrome, Eternal Ring, and Eurofishing. P.S.
Yes.
This is awesome.
This is awesome.